So, I said before I was going to do a review of a game that everyone maybe knew but never had played before. Instead of that, I'm going to do a review, partially with the help of my written review I made 5 years ago in gymnasium. But I'm also gonna be doing it sort of live because I don't have the time to do a more professional review of it. So I'm just gonna go along, say what I feel about the game and so on and so forth. Well, Kingdom Hearts 2 is an epic and grand follow-up to the 2002 RPG game Kingdom Hearts, when Disney and Square Enix got together to do a more mixed game, or a sort of blend of the two companies. They had both done both the Final Fantasy series and the Dragon Quest series, so maybe they were something. Maybe we thought, oh, let's mix Donald and Goofy with, I don't know, the characters from the Dragon Quest series or Mystic Quest, or I don't know what that. I haven't played those games. It doesn't matter because it's what I feel about the game that counts, right? So anyway, the gaming world's fans have grown tired of the concept of always saving the world from all its evil, and so blah 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 blah. Very boring right now. But Kingdom Hearts was a mix up of that, both saving the world and what goes on between deep down what the character feels. People had very different opinions about the game. Most people thought it was a very great and fantastic game, and then there were those people that thought they didn't understand quite the story or anything about the game that made any sense, because they were just thinking, what does Donald and Goofy have to do with Final Fantasy characters? And I think that's why maybe the game got so very different results on the gaming market around the globe. Because people had very straightforward complaints about the game, such as it was the camera, it went ups and downs and all over the place, so on. Or it was the gummy ship trips that I hated because they were so dull and boring. But I'll get to that later as we speak. Anyway, the point is, did we get the game that everyone was hoping for? And the answer is yes, we got it. This is the game that improves almost everything about the first game that we both loved and hated. The story follows 4 teenagers, Pence, Hayner, Olette, and finally Roxas, and they try to take care of their summer vacation while it still lasts. Their town is called the Twilight Town. It's a town where the sun never sees its end, and it's in a constant shining sunset light, because I have no idea what they were thinking, but you can hear by the name Twilight Town, and there you have it. It's a city with a never-ending sunset. So Roxas and the other 3 said, oh, we should go to the beach while our summer vacation still lasts, because that's the only thing we haven't done yet. And the others say, yay, let's go there. And the only problem is they don't have any money, so now we're gonna earn it. And they do. But when they are finally going to the beach, they notice that their money is stolen by a black guy, or not a black guy, but a guy in a black hood or black robe, whatever you want to call it. And they notice that some things in Twilight Town aren't what they are supposed to be, because Roxas is experiencing some very weird stuff, but the other doesn't seem to notice it. So he's the only one that is really bugged by it. He tries to investigate it by going to the mansion, because that's the only place left to explore. And he do. And he goes there, and what he finds is very puzzling to him, because everything that he thinks is real is not. What he discovers is that some creatures called the Nobody are the remain shell from the Heartless, the monsters from the first game, and they follow, or they are under the command of some sort of Organization 13, who's trying to regain their hearts, which they have lost. Some might be questioning, well, that's fine and all, but whereas actually Sora and Goofy and Donald? Well, Square Enix, maybe probably made the most awkward decision to put the whole intro as Roxas' adventure with Pensader and all that. So it's actually the longest intro in the entire gaming world history, and we don't see Sora, Donald and Goofy until after those 3 hours. The control scheme and the fighting system is not much different from the first game. There's actually a new mode that's called Drive, which you use 2 keyblades, and you can enhance your magic, your strength and speed. Maybe not the speed, but at least the magic and the strength. So that's a cool little neat thing they put in there in this game. And it's really fun to slice and dice with the swords in the enemies, and you hear those clang, shang, boom, shang, and when you drop some smashes to the enemies. It's really fun actually this time. While it was enjoyable in the first game too, but it could get a bit stiffy or boring sometimes. Another cool thing you can do in boss battles is that when you see a green flash, you'll press this triangle button, and then you can perform an action sequence that will do maximum damage to the boss or the enemies. And it's pretty fun and exciting to do it, because it enhances the feel of the battle, and you'll say like, yeah, this is the coolest battle ever. What's really fantastic this time in Kingdom Hearts 2 is it's actually the voice talents that is providing the game's feel, the atmosphere, the tone. I really like the characters in the beginning, both Roxas and the other 3 teenagers, because it sets the mood for how the game is going to be. And in the first game it was all about Sora, Riku and Kairi. It was most about them, but this time it's actually a more variety of other characters that you could feel their emotions too. For example, if you take a Disney character and you blend it with a Final Fantasy character, you could get actually some pretty either funny or very dramatic results. It depends on what the characters are doing at the time, but I really enjoy almost all the scenes in both games, but this time Square Enix, they took it to a more higher level. We really get to know deep down what the character feels, and that's what I like about it. It's not very cliche most times. It's actually pretty. It's like they are experimenting, and sometimes it works, and sometimes you just feel like you repeat. Sometimes it feels like they're just repeating the movie's scene. There were many worlds in the first game, so it's not much different from this one too. Well, the thing here is that you do exactly most the same things you did like in the first game. You go to the world, and then you help out whoever's in that world, and fight some monsters or bosses, and then you develop a more. The world are sort of connected in both games, but in this one there are a more variety of movies and classic Disney animated movies that you'll get to see. For an example, you help both Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters clear up bosses or whatever. So it's not all entirely like you're wasting time in all the different worlds. You'll get to see a lot of characters that you know, and maybe some ones that you never heard of, but it's definitely have that old school Disney or some Final Fantasy characters you really recognize their personality. It's fun to see how each world has its own characters, and all the movies that you recognize of the figures from both the Disney and the Final Fantasy characters, and see how the story turns out when you are with them in their world or in another world. But so it's the world that you visit are more divided into episodes which you follow, and you fight bosses or monsters and so on, and it's fun actually.